Welcome to another episode of Crime Pays a Begoniaceae, and I'm here in the back of a pickup truck, which was not my idea. They just ran out of seats in the front. But anyway, we're going to take a little look at some of these caves. We're going to go up. We're in the Amazon, elevation roughly 3,000 feet. Really nice here. Really nice climate. Very wet, but maybe 70 degrees. I'm surprised it's not hotter, you know, because 3,000 feet is not that high. Maybe we're like 3,800 now. Anyway, a lot of interesting stuff going on. A lot of good stuff. We're going to check it out, do a little floristic survey, see what's going on. Here we go. Oh, there's a croton, a tree croton. So the diversity here that we're seeing, there's a lot of Sobralia rosea, which is a orchid that's kind of weedy. It's a native orchid. Sorry about the bumping, you know, I'm in the back of a pickup here. We got a lot of palm diversity, a lot of Melastomataceae, lots of blueberry family Ericaceae, you know, just the draping vines, epiphytes. Most of them are epiphytes. I wonder what those palms are. Hope this driver, you know, takes it easy a little bit, because I'm really getting tossed around back here. We got Dixonia, Cyathea, the tree ferns, just a wealth, Glycinia, those forked ferns that were just dangling off the tree up there. There's more of that croton. A lot of good stuff. I mean, it's overwhelming, the amount of diversity, and especially when stuff isn't flowering, it can be very hard to identify it. So I'll take pictures of leaves up, you know, top sides, undersides, stems, petioles, texture, all that shit. You know, you gotta get venation, you gotta pay attention to what you can. Grasping for what you can, you know, to log it, to make identifications later on. Okay, here we go. We're gonna keep going. Look at a nice palm. That's a nice trunk on it. Very girthy. See, the Cecropia is really dominant. Those big leaves. Well, there's a composite of some kind, Asteraceae. Kinds of red. You can see there's been actually a lot of land clearance along the road. All the grass is invasive. There's a Cecropia. See that? Get like a little red dog dick when the leaf is in bud. Ooh, there's a... What the hell was that? Monster composite. Monster Asteraceae. You can see now we're on a smaller road. It's narrowed a bit. Ooh, Cyclanthus with those forked palm-like leaves. You know, botanizing from the back of a pickup might be a little sketchy, especially on some of these bumps, but it's actually very enjoyable. You know, it's the best way to see all the floristic diversity, como se dice nice. Anyway, we're almost at our destination. You can see the road's gotten a little more narrow and overgrown, but boy, I'm really excited to see. Is that a fucking begonia? I think that is, with those giant peltate leaves. Bananas are somewhat invasive here. Look at these leaves. Look at it. Look at that. Look at that indumentum on the underside. This is Asteraceae for sure. 100%. Opposite leaves. Actually, maybe. I don't know. Oh, yeah, that definitely. Got some sort of weird mimosoid legume here. And it's stigmonastic. See how it does it? Look, what does it do that? It doesn't like to be touched. I can sympathize with them. Anyway, look at the fruits. Oh, geez, yeah, you got some thorns on there. And you got little fuzzy fruits, black hairs on them, legume fruits coming out like a pod. Looks like every ovary in that inflorescence, every flower was pollinated. Here's what the flowers look like. This is kind of wet. It sucks, but they got extra floral nectaries too. You see any there? I don't see any there. See, this is why you want the boots. You know, I can. I'm not gonna lie. I can smell cow feces in this. You know, definitely the E. coli is present, you know, not just in the human gut right now, but, you know, in this mud as well. This Miconia is everywhere, this melastome. Look at those anthers. Melastomes always have crazy anthers. 5 petals and crazy anthers, those yellow things in the middle. You know, one of those is already going to fruit. And big leaves with the very specific venation of Melastomataceae. This mud looks like, you know, what I did to the toilet a couple of days ago when I ate 5 of those yellow dragon fruits at once. And then somebody said, oh yeah, those are a laxative, which I didn't know. I said, you tell me that after. Why you tell me that after? I just thought it was a delicious, juicy fruit. But instead, now I'm spraying a bowl, making it look like a Rothko painting. Another melastome. This one almost looks like it's trying to impersonate a solanum, but then you see those anthers and you say, wow. They're porocidal like a solanum. They've got a pore at the end of them. But melastome anthers are a whole other world entirely. It's a species of Blakea. You get the typical melastome venation, and of course all the leaves are covered in different bryophytes and possibly lichens and algae, etc. There's a capsule fruit in the background. Oh, that's amazing. Man, that's amazing. Oh, he's pissed. Can they actually do some harm with those little pinchers or no?
Not really, no. It's just to scare you. They're harmless. And they don't go in your ears.
Stop killing earwigs. Why do people do that?
Yeah.
That's amazing. God, that thing's a beast. There you go. There's the Cyclanthus member. Order Pandanales. Notable for that V-shaped notch. That V-shaped leaf. Not a palm. Not in Zingiberales, the ginger order. But related to screw pines. Order Pandanales. Here's something solanaceous. Look at this. It's just you can tell by the fruit. Oh, no, maybe not. Oh, I'm full of shit. This is a drupe. This is not a berry. The hell is this? Discus rules. Look at that. That is look like little bug antennas poking out. I love when they do that. That's and of course, hairy as hell, African violet family, Begoniaceae. The styles persist after the flowers have fallen off. Whole thing's about, I don't know what, 3 feet tall? Where's it coming out of? Yeah, we got a massive fucking tree here. That's not a rope. He's dangling off a root that comes down from something, probably from a strangler fig. Some sort of ficus or related genus in Moraceae. The massive monstera up there. Yeah, there you go. See, it's sending out lateral roots, see? Oh, this is one of those goddamn Zingiberales members that's only got one stamen. Does it only have one stamen? The rest of the stamens have been turned into sterile stamens, into staminodes. Petaloid staminodes. Either Marantaceae or Canaceae. There's all these families I'm not familiar with because you only ever see them in horticulture in front of like a hotel in Miami. Here's where they're wild. Here's the root of this of a strangler fig. I don't know if it's this strangler fig, that's a strangler fig in front of us, or if it's a different one that germinated up there, but you can clearly see I just swung on this too. And I'm about 200 pounds heavy right now with all my gear. Reminds me of this time I did acid at 9,000 feet elevation in the Sierra Nevada, and I had these water droplets coming off my face, and I was just watching them drip into the lake. I was bent over a lake. Kneeled over a lake looking at the lake, and I had these water droplets just going into the lake like they were going into eternity. Get these. Eventually they hit the ground and just root in. Oh, this got broken off. Where's the jelly root cap? That's wild. Biggest tree we've seen yet. Oh, hello, sir. I didn't expect to find you in there. There's a guy in there. What's he doing? It's a little beetle. What are you doing in there? Get out. No, you don't have to get out of there. I'm just saying. You know, the camera's getting wet, though. Yeah, petaloid staminodes. Look at that little beetle in there. Don't be shy. Don't back out now, buddy. Oh, he's a little weevil. Oh, I just cut this flower open, and there was just a beetle orgy inside. It's another one of those weird Zingiberales members. And those, again, aren't petals, they're stamens. They're sterile stamens. You get this cone-like inflorescence with these leafy bracts. I noticed was guayusa. Holy shit. Better than yerba mate. You gotta be careful with that stuff. They'll give you heart palpitations. A holly with a ton of caffeine. It's like a cleaner caffeine. You gotta be careful, like 3 leaves to a thing of tea. Is that it? It's this multi-stemmed shrub?
Yeah.
But it grows into a tree as well.
My grandfather said that here lives a shaman time before, and he was the person that put this tree of guayusa, because the guayusa is very important for the ceremonies, for you can remember your dreams and that connection. So very cool. It is huge. It's the more bigger that I see.
That's a lot of guayusa.
Oh, this is cool. Okay, we got an idea. Those are weird leaves for a mallow. So this is Malvaceae. It's got that epic calyx, which is a giveaway, and then you look at the inside of the flower. It's 5 petals, and it's got a bunch of stamens coming off that hollow column, which is, and then inside the hollow column is a style. So it looks just like a hibiscus flower, same structure. And then there were a couple back there where the fruit was ready. Oh yeah, see, there's the fruit. You can see it maturing inside that calyx. It's got the gestalt of a mallow. Those leaves are a real throw-off, though. Glabrous and don't have that maple-like heart shape. We're on a hill. There's a nice little opening. Oh, what's that? That's at member of the Begoniaceae with those red things in the background. It's basically a tree buckwheat. Here is a interesting fern. There's the sori. You could see her right on the margins of the leaves. Just like a little outline of the leaf shape. Look at the venation on those too. Wonder if this is meradioid. Almost looks like it. But I'd have to see those sporangia clusters when they're open. Actually, it's probably not a meradioid. It's fucking big though. Here's one of the tropical blueberries. Hasn't quite gone to... Oh yeah, it's blooming. There's one blooming still. Cavendishia, maybe. But really, I mean, there's so much diversity down here. There's genera I'd never even heard of before. Alternate leaves, coriaceous, and glabrous as well. So many of these epiphytic ericaceae. Oh, nice palm. What is that? Okay, what's this? We just found this on the ground.
So this is a marasmius because it's got white spores, white gills at maturity, and then marasmius does this thing where it ties the leaves together with mycelium that looks a little bit powdery.
Okay, so this should be pretty easy to identify. This should be pretty easy to identify later on. You've got these really distinct palmate leaves, long petiole, and then that fruit. But also look at those, the new growth, those bracts that open. It's a eudicot. We know it's not a monocot. That gets us somewhere.
Crazy.
Did you really? You had some?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we explain to everybody the difference between toxicity and between mushrooms and plants, and why it's actually safer to taste mushrooms than to taste plants.
So plants have a lot of really strong toxins in them because they're always in an arms race with all of the herbivores. So if you eat a plant, it's just gone and it's dead. Whereas if you eat a mushroom, that's actually good for it because it spreads the spores around. So mushrooms really benefit from being eaten. So mushrooms don't have a lot of poisons because they just don't need them and doesn't benefit them in any way, whereas poisons benefit plants incredibly just because it stops the herbivores. So it's really dangerous just to go and taste random plants like I just did. But if you take a deadly mushroom and you chew it up and spit it out, nothing happens. It's totally safe.
So evolutionarily speaking, there's much more incentive for plants to be toxic than for mushrooms. What about for toxic mushrooms like death caps and stuff?
I think they're toxic just by chance because there's so many crazy chemicals in mushrooms. You take a mushroom and you run it through an LCMS and you'll see 1,000 different natural chemicals present in there. And if you just go to a random chemistry lab and eat 1,000 random chemicals, most of them will be edible, but you'll definitely come across some that are not, and that's what it's like eating mushrooms.
Whereas a plant, I mean, the herbivores, and whether they're insects, microherbivores, or large, ungulate mammals, they've selected for more toxic plants, basically.
Exactly.
And of course, we got a very common one, beautiful blue mushroom, Clitosebula azurea. This one's really popular among the fungus gnats. You see a bunch of flies hanging out on these quite often. You can see them just eating the wood. Clitosebula. And here we got the native bamboo, Guadua angustifolia. Reaching about 60 feet tall right there, probably. 20 meters. There you go, forming an impenetrable light cage of massive bamboo. I had no idea there was New World bamboo that got this big. From the neotropics. There's a lateral branch, and there's those spines, for which it's so well known among people that live here. Very mean spines. That's God, that's insane. It's an 80-foot tall grass. How'd you coax her out?
I'm using a stick. I kind of prodded her out, and she bit it a lot until finally she was like, alright, I'll come out.
Okay, so you can see the substrate here is limestone. We got a random sinkhole opening up in the middle of the forest. An indication of what's to come. Remember, limestone, calcium carbonate, reacts with acidic rainwater. And over thousands, tens of thousands, millions of years can form little caverns. Now, here's a nice monstera. With a very distinct leaf texture and venation. Kind of heart-shaped. There's those massive leaves, massive peltate leaves. Look at the texture in the stem. Just clambering up a dead log. Oh, here we got an erythrina, a hummingbird pollinated member of the pea family. As you can tell from those bright red flowers, it's got tiny spines on it. It's hard to tell what's what because it's covered in epiphytes and vines, but there you go. Wonder how big they can get. This seems to be, yeah, there's the leaves up there. Massive, but still trifoliate. Oh, there's that same monstera again, but 30 feet off the ground. Here is a really cool philodendron. It looks like Philodendron verrucosum. I think a number of species in the genus do that, though, with those very, very beautiful leaves, which is just that iridescence is just a product of the tiny hairs and those massive peltate leaves. Look at those living trichomes on the stem, and then there, is that the inflorescence or is that a new leaf and bud? I think it's just a new leaf and bud. Cecropia with the distinct leaf up there. Urticaceae, the nettle family, used to be in its own family. Very common. They're a pioneer species, one of the first to show up after land is cleared. What is this? Goeppertia? Is this another Goeppertia? Is this Marantaceae, another one of those weird members of the ginger orders and Gibberelles? Oh my god. The Heliconias. Talk about Zingibberelles. Look at that. This is obviously going for hummingbird pollination. Get those flowers. Oh, how many anthers we got popping out of that hood? Oh, you got 5? Wow. I said wow. You know, I said wow. Ants are hitting it too. Definitely displays evidence of coevolution with hummers, though. Those bright pink bracts. Millions of years of coevolution with hummingbirds is selected for that. Look at that. Jesus Christ. That is a beautiful plant right there. Look at those flowers. That's incredible. I want to draw it nice. And there's the leaves. God, what a cool order. The ginger order. So many beautiful weirdos in it. You know, Melastomataceae is a pretty incredible family. The flowers just look absolutely fucking insane. That's one of them. That's a tree in the genus Blakea. And here is the flower of it. Extremely ornate anthers, as you can see. Those yellow hoods. And then the style in the center. Flower's a little decrepit, but you know, you could see what's going on. You can see how this tree is just holding up this entire hillside. If that were ever to fall, and it does look somewhat precarious, it would rip out, it would cause a massive landslide. Interesting melastome, too. Another melastome, Melastomataceae. Those are the fruits, looking conspicuous as hell, so they get noticed by birds. See, that's just the sepals. The red sepals, and then the fruits are beneath. It's not in flower right now. There's the leaves, again, with that distinct venation. That those three large veins in the center of the leaf, and you can see it's just a climber. It's the climber going up this tree that's covered in like 90 other species of plants. This thing is weird. This is a fern, man. This is a fern. It's a fern that seems to be mimicking an angiosperm in its leaf form, in its phyllotaxy. That's crazy. How do you know it's a fern? Because it's got circinate vernation right there. You can see the new leaf unfurling. And it's got the little caudex, little rhizome. Not caudex, but you know what I mean. That is so weird. I'm so curious what the sporophyll looks like. What does the spore-producing leaf look like on this guy? Huh? I didn't see any more around. There's the cave down there. I didn't see any more of these. Nice chunk of karst. You can see the shape of that. Karst is a kind of limestone. And especially in tropical high rainfall environments, you get the dogtooth karst, which is literally looks like a dog tooth. It's like the tooth of a freaking German, like the molars and the canines of a German shepherd. Impossible to walk on if you're not wearing boots. And there you go. There's a big hole in the ground. I could smell the guano. Let's pick up a tropical disease and bring it back to America. There's that tree I was near. Okay, so we're putting a mask on because we're going down here. You know, we're not going to bring back Rona 2.0 as much as I want to. Anyway, you can see you got begonias up there, all kinds of nice. Oh, look at it. Look at those begonias. Holy hell. Everything's dripping. You got water running through there. This cave is probably not that old. I'd imagine the limestone weathers pretty quickly when you've got tropical rainfall, persistent tropical rainfall. But let's see what we got. The shit is that? Holy hell. The shit is that? What is this stuff? Oh, there's the cave, and here's an oxalis. Oxalis is a genus, plenty of them. There's plenty of weedy members. This is very obviously a native one. See, little 5-petaled tube flower, red stem, and trifoliate leaves with a beautiful red venation under them. Growing at the margin of a cave. There's that begonia. You could see it's just coating this hill. And easy to tell which is a female flower. In fact, you kind of have to, because that yellow stigma looks like anthers. It looks like it could be male, but then you see that big red thing. That's the ovary, that's the fruit. Only female flowers are going to have that. But you'll see male flowers, I don't see any here, that lack that red thing, that red ovary, but have the same, they look almost identical. Because they're not offering nectar, they're just offering pollen to pollen collecting bees. That's why they got to do that. Even the female flower has to look like a male with the anthers. You know, at first guess I'm going to go ahead and say all the fuzzy stuff is a lichen. It's kind of spooky though, I'm not going to lie, but I'm guessing those are just hyphal strands. They look like mycelial structures. And then there's probably a photobiont in there somewhere. Here we got a liverwort, a giant liverwort, a giant non-vascular. No plumbing, no tubes inside. That's wild. Just transporting water through directly through the cell wall, plasmodesmata, whatever the shit else you get. Osmosis. Let's go down here. See, we're bumming the bats out. They don't like it when you do that. They say, what are you doing down here? You got to get out of here. See, definitely putting a mask on. No offense, guys. You know, this wasn't my idea. They said, why you want to? I say, why you want to do that? I don't want to do that. You know, look at this. You fall down there into a shit slurry of, 11 different zoonotic diseases. It don't sound fun. Why you want to do that stuff? I'm just going because they said I got to. They're all going down there to, they're dragging my ass down. I said, I like plants. There's no plants down here. There's just, these little disease vectors. Again, no offense, guys. No offense. Really, when it comes down to it, I blame the entomologists. They're always the ones, they're going spots you don't want to go. They're getting you into stuff you don't want to go looking. Who wants to do this stuff? You got to have something wrong with you. Yeah, see, now we're walking through a slurry. And the bats are still pretty mad that we're here. Thank God for these rubber boots. I'm going to have to get a pair when I get back. Look, there everybody is, This is not... you got pieces of the ceiling coming down. I don't know when this was. Holy shit, that's a lot of bats. That's more bats than you get flies around a big pile of shit in the middle of the desert. Wow. And there's where the creek's coming out. Why did I do this? Jesus Christ. I'd rather stay up and look at plants, That fern was looking really good. Oh, are you a cave cricket? What the hell are you eating down here? What do you eat? We got this. What the shit is that? What is that? All different kinds of fungus. All growing out of bat shit. Is it mostly bat shit? Is the substrate mostly bat shit? Okay, Alan, what is this?
This is a Cordyceps nidus. So it's a species described from Colombia, and it grows on trapdoor spiders. So this is the trapdoor here, and then this is the spider, and then you have the stem, and it makes the spores up here in perithecia.
So this thing is just eating bugs, but it's eating cave spiders, huh?
Yeah, it was found right in the wall of the cave here.
Can you tell me about the ecosystem of a cave? What's the, there's no light down here. So what's the base of the ecosystem down here? You living off guano? Are you eating bad shit? What are you doing? I just want to ask a couple questions, that's all. Look at this guy. Look at that. Holy shit, they're so fast, too. These guys, you definitely don't want to scare them because they move quick. Other than that, they're completely harmless, aside from being terrifying looking and, about 8 inches wide. You know, you're pretty. You're also one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen, probably. I know you're harmless. What are you doing with those? You got those little pinchers up there? What are you eating? What are you living on? Tell us what you're eating. What are you eating? Oh, there he goes. He's getting vibed out. We're bumming him out. There he goes. He's leaving. There he goes. He's like, fuck you. There we go. Come on. No, come back. Did you ever see those? You ever see those H.R. Giger movies back in the '80s? You know, my dad had a couple on Laserdisc. You kind of look like that. It's really, you're really going the extra mile. You wouldn't be happening to be eating them crickets, would you? Is that what you're living on? You know, I don't know how the whole food chain, how's the whole trophic system work here in this cave? Oh, so you guys are just being generally cute as shit. See, you know, you guys get a bad rap. It's not your fault. You know, I know the whole zoonotic disease thing can be kind of a drag sometimes. But you guys look like fruit bats. Are you fruit bats? I can't even see the nose. Are you fruit bats or are you eating bugs? Oh, wow. So it's a So it's bioluminescent, but when you charge it up with light and then turn the lights off, okay. Turn the lights off, it stays glowing. Yeah. No one's got a UV on right now. No lights on.
Yeah, hold on, Ethan, headlight. Yeah.
What the shit? God, that's so bizarre.
That's really weird.
What is it? That will be the first. It's something biological, apparently. Okay, so that's the stuff. Okay, turn it off. What the shit is it? So maybe it is a mineral. Maybe it's not biological.
I think it's probably a mineral. But the fact that it keeps, that it charges up is bananas.
Wow.
You got a gas chromatography?
I have a bunch of analytical mechanisms. I don't have GCMS, but I have elemental analysis.
What are you going to do with this stuff?
I'm going to put it in the electron microscope, and we'll at least get the elemental composition. It won't tell us if it's organic or not. I mean, if there's a bunch of carbon, we can probably say. But it really does look mineral. So we'll definitely be able to see what kind of mineral it is.
But the fact that it's phosphorescent, that after you turn the lights off, it's still glowing, is like it can charge up just like glow in the dark stars you might, glue to the ceiling in your kids' room.
Which is extremely uncommon in nature. I mean, it's extremely uncommon, and just seeing it on the wall of a cave is shocking.
How's it doing it?
Nature. Physics. Idiots don't know, which is why I'm taking
Looks like some crack you might find in a baggie and a tenderloin. There, look at it. Stuff. What is this?
Okay, that's probably plenty.
Turn off all the lights.
You know, once you get over the threat of zoonotic diseases and slipping, falling, breaking your ass and being washed away into a cavernous tube full of water, the cave's actually not too bad. Look at that bulbous. It's such a bulbous stalactite. Look, it's another bulbous stalactite. Look how bulbous it is. It's so thick and bulbous. Come on, guys. Let's go. COVID 2.0. Here we go. Who could hate you? Huh? Who could hate you? Look, you guys are having a little cuddle puddle. You're cute as shit. I'll say that. There we go. Well, that was nice. Let's hope we don't come out with some sort of weird disease. But, if it's time, it's time. I don't mind starting the next pandemic. Okay, let's look at this interesting shelf fungus. It's very porous. It's eating this log. Beautiful. Beautiful colors on that thing. Here's the genus. I don't know if it's the same species. It's a big genus, though. The genus that cocaine is made from, Erythroxylum. You can see it's got those two bands on either side of that mid vein of the leaf. But Erythroxylum, erythroxylum, you can call it too. I think Erythroxylum sounds easier. Erythroxylum is kind of goofy to say. But you can see it's just growing here in the shade. This forest at 4,200 foot elevation. Malpighiales, the same order as willows, is the order. Willows and euphorbias and poinsettias and all that. Malpighiales is the order. Erythroxylaceae is the family. But big-ass genus, plenty of diversity, and plenty of alkaloids in those leaves. Part of the arms race against insects that might be chewing on the leaves. You can see this species is apparently not doing too well against it. But I guess it's relatively minor leaf damage compared to what it could be. So maybe those alkaloids are working. Okay, so we found a cordyceps right here. We found an insect-eating fungus. This little guy. Alan, what's going on here?
So here we have Ophiocordyceps curculionum, and it's growing on a weevil. So right there, that bug is a weevil from the family Curculioideae, and this cordyceps only grows on weevils from that family. And usually you find these things like stuck to the undersides of leaves, so we're just flipping leaves all day. But today it's just stuck to the side of a tree, and it has a real thin black stem, and then it turns bright red here. And if we leave it here to mature, it'll have like a big head will form on the end of it, and it'll be like bright red and kind of shaped like a football and have lots of pores where it releases the spores.
So it's not releasing spores yet.
No, it's a young one, just started out.
Another Heliconia. Looks like it's past flower, but the bracts are still going off. Those maroon petioles. There, it looks like there's a mosquito larva inside there. Look at it. There's a whole community in there. Hopefully something comes along and eats those. Ugh. Yeah, that guy's he's not happy. He's having a bad time. What the hell? No offense, buddy, but you know, wow. A cock of the rock. This shit, look, you got like a big orange mohawk. There's three of you guys, hilarious. Nice to meet you. You know, you're doing a good job out here. What? Yeah, I hear you. Do your little dance again. That was nice. Everybody wants to see your little dance. Okay, now our resident herpetologist, he's got a snake in a bag. He's got a snake in a bag, and I guess it's a viper, and it's not too happy. It's a little upset. Now notice how he's got the stick holding the thing back while he's got his hands near the front of the bag. If you ever got a viper in a bag, that's how you want to do it. You want to hold the thing back, and then you open it.
Show folks.
He's going to show us. Then he's going to take it back to his lair, and they're going to do venom extraction to study the
That
toxins.
doesn't answer my question.
What?
The question's like, why are we opening it right now?
Because we want to look at the snake in a bag. What do you mean? Because we want to ask him where his friends are. Where is he coming out? There he goes. He's coming out. Rise and shine. There we go, buddy. Don't be mad. Don't be mad. Holy shit! Look at that. That's a beautiful.
He's pissed.
He's perfect.
So,
Okay.
You
Well,
can
let's
see
take,
a really cool thing about these guys is that you see that yellow tail? It's for mimicking worms or insects. So they'll coil up and set their tail kind of up above their head and wiggle it like a worm. And it'll lure in little frogs that are along that stream. And that's how they hunt. The cool thing is that the females of this species are 5 times larger than them. So this is an adult male. The female can be over 1 meter long, and hefty. The females basically always lose the yellow color on their tail, but the males oftentimes maintain it into adulthood because they continue eating ectothermic prey. Females have to start eating larger mammalian prey because they're so much bigger.
look, he's like, come at me, bro.
Like, they hardly ever bite. I've stepped on a few of them, and their camouflage is so good, but they'll just sit there. So he didn't even move until I started messing with him. He was just totally still.
See, they don't want to hurt you. They're just lurking and laying low.
You pinned it down with a stick and grabbed it behind the head.
He's got a similar head shape to a cottonmouth.
In the back with a little hole, it creates the light basically comes in with the forms of what are outside. So it's like kind of a fuzzy picture.
And what's an upper Amazon forest without a neotropical blueberry? Some of the neotropical members of Ericaceae. You can see this is just the corolla that fell off, and the plant itself is epiphytic and growing up there. Possibly a Macleania, Semisia. There's like 24 different genera. This could be almost any of them. See these guys, those these cocks out of rocks are, I think they're upset that we're here. Or they're just, you know, they're just, maybe they're just communicating with each other. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, you can see the sun came out. We're going to head back. Birds are still, you know, talking amongst themselves up there. I can't even see where they're. God, everything is just, look at that. Look, you got a big, one of those, is that an ericaceous thing? I can't even tell what this shit that is. Epic diversity, epic plant diversity. Alright, that's all I got. Have a good rest of your day. Go fuck yourself. Bye. Look at that nice, look at that moss coming out of there. With the backlit with the sun, that's idyllic. That's iconic. Man, I don't know what this fern is. God, that's bizarre. That is a weird texture. You can see it's just coming out of the crookedest tree at the base. God, so much wild shit here. So much unique stuff going on. Oh, that's a melastome. That fell from up above somewhere. Look at the trichomes and look at that purple underside. That leaf venation tells you everything you know. God, it's beautiful. Look at that. Little ruby red haze in the leaf margin from all those hairs. Yeah, this melastome is absolutely driving me bonkers, man. Look at those trichomes. Look at the hairs. Look at that leaf texture. Growing in an incredibly dark forest. You can see that we got an aroid down there too. God knows what the fuck that is, if that's a monstera or what. See, there's the spathe and spadix. You got those heart-shaped leaves, a little notch at the end. You know, the aroids, they're growing in, I don't know. I don't know many of the genera, but it's growing submerged in water, and then this little herbaceous, I guess it's a woody stem down there. Some of the insects are going to town on this too, but those hairs, man, what is the adaptive benefit of such a dense coating, such a dense wool of pink trichomes and a purple abaxial leaf surface? And then the whole goddamn leaf is just enormous, but it's still got that distinct venation of Melastomataceae. It's weird. Climbing Begonia. No inflorescences, but sending out adventitious roots too. It's remarkable. I don't think I've ever seen a vining climbing begonia before. What's been really curious is we've been, you know, gallivanting. It's only like a mile and a half trail. But as we've been coming through, gallivanting through the forest, there have been 0 to no mosquitoes. And this is intact forest. I can't explain it other than that there must be something in an ecosystem that's keeping them in check. And surely species like Aedes aegypti, which are basically a species that's spent the last 10 or 20,000 years evolving with humans and is invasive in North America, surely those thrive with human disturbance. Oh, that's nice. Nice, like a member of Acanthaceae. So it kind of makes me realize something here is keeping it in check, whether it's a frog or another insect or whatever, because it's wet, it's the right temperature, it's warm, and there should be many more mosquitoes than there are, but there just aren't that many. So the lesson there is that the ecology, having an intact ecology, keeps the mosquitoes in check. And you fuck all that up when you go bulldoze something, or God forbid, if you get stuck in the cycle of spraying. Right? The correct thing to do is find what keeps the mosquitoes in check and try to make those things thrive, whether it indeed is frogs or whatever, and certainly take away any element that would harm those things, you know, like chemicals you might be spraying into the environment that would kill all the frogs, or, you know, introduce fungal diseases, etc. You know, as a species, we're still figuring out how this stuff works, right? That you don't want to start dismantling the machine thinking you have a better option than what's been there for tens or hundreds of thousands of years prior. I mean, really millions, but we're talking on a span of the human species. Check out the inflorescence on this member of Cyclanthus. Look at that thing. What the shit is going on? This family is blowing my mind. With it, again, the fantails, a split little fantail, like a swallowtail. No relation to palm, no relation to ginger. It's in the screwpine order, Pandanatum. Oh, it's fossils in the karst. Look at that. You got fossils. Oh, and there's Erythrina. Oh yeah, that's nice. So there's where this little creek goes underground right there. It just disappears underground. and goes about its business carving out caves in the karstic limestone. Okay, here we got a species of Blakea. You can see an psilocybe, Hugshigania, too. Sharpest nipple on any psilocybe. But look at the anthers. Melastomataceae, of course. Look at those anthers. Look, it looks like one of those cakes you get with the plastic covers on it. You know, the ones you never want to eat. Your grandma brings it home and you're all bummed out about it. That's kind of what it looks like. Poricidal anthers, like all melastomes, but such ornate flower morphology. Was this growing as a? When you went and snagged it down, was it grown as an epiphyte or was it a tree or what was it?
Oh yeah, epiphyte. We climb a little tree for it. Snap it down.
The melastome diversity here is nuts. Okay, let's go ahead and put that UV light on it. Holy hell! So the pollen is UV fluorescent. Jesus. Oh yeah, there it is. So it's got those bracts. Wow, Christ. Okay, there's that melastome that I was eyeing before, and this one has fruits on it. That pink hairy melastome with those pink trichomes. Look at those iridescent fruits, just trying to get noticed by birds. Conspicuous to its bird dispersers. God, what a weird plant. Probably a Miconia. What the shit is this? Abaxial leaf surface, there's the underside, and there is what appears to be infructescences. So many fruits, those were formerly flowers, probably on a spike, and then those are many fruits aggregated together into a compound fruit looking like little rods. Almost looks like a piper of some kind, but it doesn't seem right either. Kind of weird, man. No idea. You see those spikes on that thing are the old styles. So each one of those little knobs was a flower. No idea what this could be. You know, the segmented stems kind of looks like a piper. It kind of makes me think it's a piper. The leaves just don't jibe. This is kind of cool. So we got a palm here. You can see those lines. Those are just the old abscission scars from the leaf. Like this is all the leaf. This whole thing will come off and leave another scar. You can see, but it's also sending down these roots, these aerial roots. These you can see that was the old stem. God knows how long it stayed that size. We see the old leaf scars. You know that was the old stem because it's got the old leaf scars right there. But you can see it was skinny as hell. And then it just sends out those lateral roots as it grows for more stability. So it can start out really skinny. But you know, palms don't produce lateral meristems like trees do. Palms aren't technically trees. They're monocot. No monocots have lateral meristems. They don't produce secondary growth. They just grow up. They don't grow out. So a way around that for more stability is these roots. Man, they start sending out roots, lateral roots early. Wild. Caustaceae, another member of Zingiberales, the ginger order. That's the fruit right there, full of seeds, as you can see. And those are the fruits inside this inflorescence. Each flower is subtended by a big bract. And you can see the old flowers are up there too, those red things. You can see each one of those fruits still has the old flower, the red flower on top of it. But the flowers are pretty post, so you can't go in there and look at the stamens. See, it's only got one stamen, etc. That's a unique inflorescence structure. The ginger order. It's a very old order too. I think it's early Cretaceous. Old order of monocots.